The intentional shortchanging of Latinos, of African Americans by a Latino chancellor. Do you believe that's true?
No, of course, they're just allegations. A lot of these things are allegations. They haven't been proven. The lawsuit from Ben Hall is a $100 million lawsuit. And what happens here in these types of lawsuits that are, this type, is that in the end, no matter how long it takes, it's been a year since he filed the lawsuit, but at the end, the folks that are really benefiting from this, all the attorneys, they're the ones that are just going to make tons of money here on these types of lawsuits. And the other piece,
that's only if they win because they're right.
Hold on, tomorrow.
The other thing is that I agree, representation is needed on that seat that was vacated or the person resigned. Those folks do need representation. And by the way, that HCC campus right there on the north side by I-10 and 59 North, it's a nice campus. And I support HCC because only less than 5% of minorities go on to Tier 1 universities. So HCC, Lone Star College are great opportunities of hope and career. So, we need to do everything we can to support them. But, these allegations, let them play out in the court system and let the lawyers make tons of money.
Lira, do you welcome this commitment to diversity, even though a Latino is probably not going to be picked?
Absolutely. I'm big on diversity, but more importantly, it's equity and diversity. And I think that, diversity, people say we're the most diverse and I support diversity, but all he's saying is I'm inviting you to the fiesta. But when you're saying equity and equitable representation and giving people opportunities, you're not inviting them to the fiesta. You're inviting them not only to the fiesta, but to the table to sit down and have a good meal with us. Absolutely. I think it's a great idea.
Sergio Lira, we know the Latino vote in Texas is not monolithic, and there is a significant number of people who supported Donald Trump in the last election. What's your take on the president's visit here?
Well, first of all, his rhetoric, he tends to look at the cup half empty consistently and just very strong rhetoric as opposed to doom and damnation. And there are some great things that are happening in our country. But back to your question in terms of the Latino vote and how it's not monolithic, because they associated politically that Latinos only vote on the issue of immigration, but it's not. Jobs, healthcare, education, and immigration are the issues. But healthcare is number one, job number two, and the Democratic Party needs to be better at messaging and reaching out to the Latinos on emphasizing jobs, health, education, and not only immigration issues related to the Latino. A lot of Latinos, for the first time, I even have family members voting for the first time for Trump and Republican because of jobs. And the border was because of jobs. And that is the shift here. The Democrats definitely need a better messaging on health care, jobs, education, and not only immigration.
Sergio Lira, many of the victims, the majority of the victims of this crime wave are folks of color. What's your take?
Well, first of all, this crime wave is not only endemic of Houston. Look what happened in New York, officers being killed up there also. My condolences to all the families and victims, but we need to look at it in a comprehensive manner. And it needs to be a comprehensive plan. For example, we have the proliferations of guns. We have more guns in this country than we do people, over 400 million guns that we have. Also, we need bail reform, as you mentioned. We also need the COVID just exacerbated this problem by having, our jails are overcrowded. So we need more of a comprehensive approach to address this issue of the crime wave. No one is immune from the crime wave, and it's not only endemic to Houston. But we must work together, like Chief Finner said. We have to work together and be vigilant and be good neighbors. But there's no magic formula, and I just think that we need to work together.
All right, Lira, I was fortunate enough to be at your house the other day. I had a great talk with your wife. Even in your neighborhood, there are big concerns. Is it on the radar?
Absolutely. I think this, with recent events, is going to have huge implications for the March primary and also November election. It is a #1 issue. My daughter had to move from my neighborhood to a suburban area because of the crime wave, the gunshots all the time, and my grandkids are afraid. So, folks are fleeing the city because of this. But let me just stress, I don't support defunding the police. I support refunding the police. Police officers need resources. The DA's office needs more prosecutors. We need to reform the bail system, and also to reform, the release program. If you're a convicted felon, we have to make sure you stayed in there and you're a danger to our society, our community. But it's going to have huge implications in March and also in November.
Do you think Hispanic voters will come out on this issue, Sergio? Real quick.
Yeah, they're coming out incrementally. We still need some strong leaders. We still need some dynamic, charismatic folks. When Beto ran a while back against Ted Cruz, the numbers of Latinos coming out to vote was enormous. The massive number of folks coming out more. But during this election and March primaries, the voter turnout is always less than the general election in November. I don't see a spike going up. I don't see very many strong, dynamic candidates out there. So, I think it's just going to be flatline. But I do see an increase, but I don't think it's going to be that dramatic.